Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of Mission Matters. My name is Adam Torres, and if you'd like to apply to be a guest on the show, just head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, so today I have Craig Cooke on the line, and he's CEO and founder over at C Squared Professional Consulting and also author of the recently released book, Business Kung Fu, Modern Strategy, Ancient Truth, Your Success, which we're going to talk about today. But first off, Craig, just want to say welcome to the show.
Thanks, Adam. I'm really excited to be talking with you today. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man. So we got a lot to talk about. We're going to get into your book, of course, and a little bit more into your background. So as an entrepreneur, so we've caught up once or twice before. And one of the reasons I'm excited to have you on the show is because I just think your story, man, you started in digital marketing way back in the 90s. So like that's super early to be even, was it even called that back then or what did we call it?
It's hard to remember, actually. It's funny because what I'll tell people is it wasn't. I'll tell them, I started a digital first company in the 20th century. And terms like digital transformation, digital first, they weren't even around back then. Yeah,
it was like, hey, you need a website. And people were like, what's that?
Exactly. Like, right. I was like, what? What's this internet stuff? What is this? Yeah.
It's a fad.
Good time.
It's a fad.
That's right. It's just a fad for computer geeks. Yeah.
Oh, man. So as an entrepreneur, like, did you know that was how'd this stick? I mean, you were in that industry for quite some time before you eventually exited the company and the business. Like, how did you know that was your thing?
Well, what I did was actually combine two passions. I had a passion for music and a passion for technology. And one day, as I was coming home, I stopped at this computer store, and I happened to pick up a CD-ROM magazine. You know, at that time, there were these things called CD-ROMs.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was this MusicNet magazine that was a CD-ROM. So I took it home, put it in, and I saw all these bands I'd never heard of. I was like, wow, that's interesting, fascinating. And at the time, I was playing around with the internet and getting using America Online. Remember that old thing? I don't know. You're too young for that. I don't know.
Taking up the phone line. You had to have the phone line, had to have a second phone line if you wanted. And if you didn't, then, oh, man, parents were mad because you're playing games. And it's like, why is your phone always busy? I don't know who's playing games, Mom. I don't know why that game Doom came out. I don't know. Go ahead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so, getting familiar with the internet and really being fascinated by that and other things technology-wise. And, I was getting together with one of my friends playing music a lot. I play guitar and piano and so forth. And, showed him that CD-ROM and I was having a conversation of what a great idea it would be to do that as a service online. And, one thing led to the next, and then started the company with that friend and another friend from college, $1,300 a piece in a computer that I had, an Apple computer. And we started RhythmNet.com, which is marketing independent music online. And it was kind of this idea that was anti-establishment, kind of fight the machine, because at the time, music was all directed through programming via the radio and MTV.
It was just A&R. There's a couple of people, right? So like your Clear Channel, Radio One, like that's a couple, like there was like 3 or 4, something like that, till they even consolidated worse. So they didn't say that you were out there, you were not out there, period.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So we wanted to level the playing field, and we created a site where people can discover independent music, find these bands, listen to song samples, and buy their CDs through a secure server using their credit card way back in 1996. It's just an idea.
And that's back when you put your credit card, was the beginning. So putting your credit card in there was like, what? Don't put my credit card in there. They're going to steal it or like whatever else.
Yes.
Security, all the other things, it was different. It was very different.
Yes, that was one of the barriers.
We're taking all the kids down memory lane here, like, what?
I know. They're like, what are they talking about? Like, why would people be afraid? But, that was the case. Everyone was afraid. There's only 30 million people worldwide online at the time.
Wow.
There was no MP3s. And like you said, the people were afraid to buy stuff. So, we struggled with that business model for the first couple of years. But it's like,
any cool bands you remember? Any cool bands at that time that you were like, man, this is cool, like that went through your doors? Do you remember?
Yeah, they were all really cool people, really cool bands, great music. But There was all independent. No one that really made it. I think there was one singer from the all lady band Wild Orchid or something like that. She was doing something different, or a couple of them. Yeah.
All good. Go ahead.
But yeah. So after a couple of years, we adapted and started doing web design for companies and kept the music thing on the side because people started talking. Hey, this internet stuff? Can you do our website for our company? I was like, yeah, sure. And we were successful at that. And we said, well, we need to eat, we need to pay bills, and this is a good route to go. So we adapted and rebranded as RhythmNet Design Group. Again, kept the music thing on the side, kept that going. And then over the years, just started to build different capabilities. I saw a vision in 1998 for the future of what advertising and marketing and what an agency would look like, combining online and offline methods in an integrated fashion. So we started building up those capabilities, and in 2004, rebranded again as Rhythm Interactive. And we had a whole suite of services. We had a great philosophy that was combining strategy, design, and technology, which was unique at the time. We actually started thinking of in those terms in 2001. And, got into all kinds of different skill sets, CD-ROM development for creating rich internet applications. We had our own proprietary method of updating the CD-ROMs and also tracking user behavior, which no one at the time was doing. And we did a lot of work with pharma companies for a good 10 years.
What was it even called back then? It wasn't user behavior. Like all the words that you're using that are just so commonplace right now, I don't know if that was even it. Maybe it was, but a lot of this like terminology we take for granted now, it's like, yeah, because you're talking early. That's amazing.
Yeah, it was early. Yeah, it's all these things. Even like email marketing, right?
Yeah.
We're at the forefront. There was a platform called ExactTarget that Salesforce.com acquired that is now Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And we were one of the early resellers of the ExactTarget platform. So we became experts in email marketing, and we were sending out like 18 million emails a year on behalf of our clients, doing all kinds of email, did search, SEO, and paid search, digital content, digital video, just a whole suite of services, and web design that went from simple landing pages all the way to really large data-driven web applications. And then we ended up working with a lot of middle market to large enterprise companies as we grew and evolved, and ended up hitting a great growth stride starting in 2012 and landed on the Inc. 5000 list 5 years in a row. And during that time also got best places to work, top places to work 4 years in a row. We actually stopped applying because we were just too busy. And, a whole other host of, awards and success. And yeah, it was a great journey.
Yeah, so now fast forwarding a bit, you ran that company into the 2000s, very recent, or I think 2019 roughly is when you exited. Am I off on that? I mean, roughly?
That's correct. Actually, on the 23rd year anniversary to the day was when our deal funded, and sold on January 2nd, 2019. And then I stayed on in my role as CEO for another 3 years, and that completed a 26-year run. And I call it a marathon because I equate each year to a mile, right? So I had a marathon run, and it was a great journey, and took some time to relax and decompress from that marathon. And then in 2023, started doing consulting work. There's a number of different things that I have going on. And then, of course, as you mentioned, my book, which I released at the very end of 2023.
Yeah, let's get into the book. Let's dive into the book. So, Business Kung Fu, Modern Strategy, Ancient Truths, Your Success. What inspired this?
So the big thing is the books were my very first passion in life. As soon as I could read, I was always reading. I always had a book in my face. And later on in my teenage years, I knew I wanted to write a book one day just because I was so passionate about books, but I didn't know what. And then fast forward to around 2011, I came up with the idea, business kung fu. Yeah, because I had studied Chinese kung fu when I was younger, from 17 to 25, really intensely. And I actually took the principles that I learned from studying martial arts and applied it to the company as far as mindset, discipline, even some structural aspects, running the company, so forth. And I said, that's what I need to write about. And that took me 12 years, but I got it done. I stuck with it, and it's good because it's a better book than if I would have finished it back then in, say, that year or 2012 or whatever.
Yeah,
much
I
more
mean,
experience.
lots of growth after that part. I feel like you added some chapters or some content. There had to be some live. No entrepreneur goes 12 years and doesn't add some learning. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a lot of lessons, stories from running the company, especially during those, growth years. And in the beginning too, one of the things I talked about is building a foundation. That's chapter 1. And it's just filled with a lot of what I refer to as business wisdom that is really geared towards helping entrepreneurs have the proper mindset to overcome challenges that they'll face on their journey.
And the title, Kung Fu, where does that come from? Do you practice martial arts or anything like that? I was just curious sometimes.
I still do, actually. So, yeah. Because I based it on studying my Chinese Kung Fu from 17 to 25. And my instructor actually started his own system right around when I was 21. Mm. And it was like all encompassing. He just embraced all arts. Mm. But as soon as I started my company, I went like 1,000% all in, and I just eventually kind of faded away on practicing. But I did get back into it a few years ago, and I'm practicing quite a bit these days. I've kept it up. I'm also part of what's related to martial arts is a practice called Qigong. And I've been studying Chinese medical Qigong for the past 10 years, actually. I'm in a doctorate program right now for Chinese energy medicine that'll finish up in August here. And it's interesting because I incorporate that into my work, my business consulting even. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, I just had this passion with martial arts and business Kung Fu. It's just a natural thing for me to write about because I lived it. It's actually what I did. It's just not a fancy title. It's actually my experience.
But it still is a fancy title. It's an authentic fancy title. I'll take that.
Yes, I'll take that too. Thank you.
So circling back to the book a bit, and we're for everybody listening, just so you know, we're going to keep it high level today. Don't worry. We want you to. This is a teaser. I want you to go pick up a copy of this book. We like supporting authors, but keeping it high level. There's 5 elements of entrepreneurship laid out in the book. Maybe go into that a bit.
Sure. So the 5-element model I describe is based on Chinese 5-element theory, which is really a theory in life that in Chinese culture really permeates across all aspects of life. So music, food, martial arts, medicine, even spiritual systems, right? And those 5 elements are fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. And it's all about balancing of those elements, and everyone has a constitution of these elements, and it's all about maintaining the balance of these elements. So borrowing upon that theory, I identified 5 elements of success, especially in the world of entrepreneurship, but it really could apply. And those elements they can start from anywhere, but I like to start with passion. So passion is one. Passion leads to discipline. Discipline leads to expertise. Expertise leads to confidence, and confidence leads to faith. And there's a generative cycle that, like say we start with passion, as it leads into discipline, you build the potential, the capacity of these elements and then fulfill it, which then leads to the next element, right? But it could also go in the reverse. If any element starts to diminish, it can then have a negative impact on the prior element and starts to diminish, and then like a downward spiral in a sense. And then there's interrelationships between each of the elements can have positive and negative impacts just based on the influence of the elements with each other.
I'm sure there are many takeaways out of the book that you hope the readers get, but if there was like one major takeaway that you hope like all the readers walk away with, what would that be?
Well, I learned a major lesson in my entrepreneurial journey, and that is to make yourself a priority. And what do I mean by that? I'm talking about prioritizing your own self-care. When I started the company, I was in great shape, from all the martial arts training I was doing and also strength training, just fantastic shape. Like I mentioned, I was all in the company, 1,000%. I just kind of
for sure. So everything else just kind of fell.
Everything, I just allowed it to fall, and sitting all day, just coding, designing, and just being all in. And fast forward 10 years later, I was at the opposite end of the spectrum, just overweight, out of shape, and I just lost my health. And then fast forward another 5 years or so, I really started feeling it. As soon as I hit my 40s, and around 42, I was like, I got to do something about this. And so I started kind of gradually trying to use supplements and do a little exercise here and there. I was fortunate enough to come across a Qigong practitioner named Russ Anderson, great guy, in 2014 that really helped me get back to centered and balanced, emotionally, mentally, from all the stress of running. We were growing on the Inc. 5000 list at that time, right?
Yeah.
So that was one aspect. But then also a couple of years later, I learned that I was diagnosed with diabetes. And I was like, oh, man, this is bad. I got to turn this around. So, but I'm happy to report today I have reversed it completely, 100% naturally, without any drugs whatsoever, just through a combination of self-care. So there's the physical self-care, your physical health, there's your mental, emotional health, even your spiritual walk. It's all important. And I have a saying in my book, be of service to self so you can be of service to others for a lifetime. What I found myself was that I was burned out. I was really tired in the afternoon. I'd get home, I would eat dinner, then normally I would keep working, but I would find myself crashing, passing out on the couch for 2 hours. That would never happen before. But once I got that diagnosis of diabetes, it all made sense. Foggy brain, being tired, out of energy, et cetera, et cetera. And what good is that? You're not able to perform at an optimal level, right? So that's the big thing. Even though it seems like you got to go, what you do, especially duty calls, you got to, do what you got to do. But really need to, you need to prioritize your self-care. You just got to make the time for it. With me, what I decided to do, because again, this is during a period of when we're on the Inc. 5000, and then also making a decision to sell the company. So there's a whole bunch of additional work on top of that to keep things profitable and trying to get the company sold. I said, all right, the only way I'm going to make this work is I got to just get up early. So I started waking up at 4:20 a.m. And that's when I started prioritizing me, my self-care, because once 7 a.m. rolled around, it was just crazy, right? Between clients and employees and vendors and all the things that you got to do. And, that's what I did. I turned around. I feel great. I feel like I did in my 20s again. And I can be of service to others for as long as I want. Plenty of energy, and I can be of service to others for a lifetime.
Man, that's a great story, and I'm in. I can't wait I haven't read the book yet, but I plan on. So that being said, Craig, if somebody wants to follow up, they want to learn more, they want to pick up the book and also maybe dig into what you're doing on the consulting side as well, which we didn't have enough time to go on today's episode, but for C Squared Professional Consulting as well, how do people follow up? How do they connect with you?
Sure. So 2 best ways to connect with me is one, LinkedIn, obviously, because everyone's on LinkedIn. It's super simple, linkedin.com/in/Craig Cooke, and that's at E at the end of Cooke. Also on my website, csquaredpro.io, so the letter C, squaredpro.io. People can go visit there, fill out the form. I monitor it daily, so I will respond. Also, my first chapter of my book is available for free as a download on my website as well. And then it is available for purchase, hardcover, paperback, and Kindle on Amazon.com. I plan on releasing it through other channels, hopefully soon, working on that. But as of today, it's on Amazon.
Yeah, always another thing to do. I'm not worried about that. And to the audience, we'll put all that information in the show notes just so you know, so you can just click on the links and head right on over. And speaking of the audience, if this is your first time with Mission Matters and you haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button. This is a daily show. Each and every day we're putting out new content and new episodes, and we don't want you to miss a thing. Craig, again, man, it was great having you on the show. I'm glad we could finally get together and do this, and wishing you much more continued success.
No, thank you, Adam. It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.